Have you ever felt your heart racing while your mind shatters into 1,000 different directions? I vividly remember the day I missed an important presentation because my anxiety completely paralyzed me. My body was there, but my mind was pure chaos. We live in an age where our attention has been hijacked, and peace of mind feels like an unattainable luxury. As Nietzsche once said, one must still have chaos within oneself to give birth to a dancing star. But how do we do that when anxiety consumes us and focus becomes a constant battle? Today we're going to uncover the hidden mechanisms that link anxiety and lack of focus. And more importantly, I'll share the strategies that not only save me, but are also backed by science. This isn't just another talk about productivity. It's a roadmap to reclaim control over your mind. You know those days when you have a million things to do, but you just don't feel like doing any of them? It's like nothing makes much sense, and everything feels out of place, not in a messy, physical way, but in the confusion of your mind. I've felt that way so many times, struggling to get out of bed and face the real world, preferring instead to stay in my imagination, which at that moment made more sense to me. It's a tough internal battle, but I can't let that feeling win. At the same time, it's like I don't even want to fight. I just want to let life carry me aimlessly. You know what I mean? It's hard to think about how I might be neglecting something important. But then again, if it's so important, why don't I want to do it? It feels like a crazy, disconnected thought, almost like madness. But maybe the real madness is pretending everything's fine when it's not. Anyway, that's not the topic of this talk. Happiness and what it means to each of us is a whole other conversation. For now, let's get to the practical side of things and let the real discussion begin. Anxiety and lack of focus aren't just unpleasant feelings. They're interconnected symptoms of a deeper imbalance in how we relate to the modern world. Aristotle argued that virtue lies in balance, in the golden mean, something that feels nearly impossible to achieve when our minds are constantly overloaded with information, notifications, and worries. The Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard described anxiety as the dizziness of freedom, a natural response to the endless possibilities we face. Interestingly, this same abundance of options that fuels anxiety also fragments our attention. When everything seems important, nothing truly is. Your brain, unable to prioritize effectively, enters a state of cognitive overload. The science behind it. Modern neuroscience has confirmed what philosophers like William James suspected over a century ago. Our attention has clear biological limits. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for focus and executive control, literally shuts down when overwhelmed by chronic stress. A study published in the Journal of Neuroscience showed that even moderate levels of anxiety can reduce activity in this critical brain region by up to 35%. It's not your imagination. Anxiety really is sabotaging your ability to concentrate. The cruel paradox is that the more anxious you become about your lack of focus, the harder it is to focus. Carl Rogers, a pioneer of humanistic psychology, would call this incongruence, a disconnect between your ideal self, productive, focused, and your actual experience, distracted, anxious. This vicious cycle creates a downward spiral that can feel impossible to escape. A study from Stanford University found that multitasking, something 81% of us attempt regularly, can reduce productivity by up to 40% and temporarily lower IQ by 10 points, more than a sleepless night or even marijuana use. Our brains simply weren't designed for the constant context switching that modern life demands. Our culture of constant productivity only makes this worse. As Michel Foucault might argue, we've internalized a mental panopticon, a constant self-surveillance that keeps us in a perpetual state of self-evaluation. I'm not doing enough. I should be more focused. These thoughts ironically increase anxiety and decrease focus. Practical strategies, breathing and mindfulness. The solution begins with something counterintuitive: acceptance. Not passive resignation, but what psychologist John Kabat-Zinn calls non-judgmental awareness. When we stop fighting anxiety and treat it as a signal rather than an enemy, we create space for genuine change. Remember, you can't hate yourself into someone you can love. One breathing technique that transformed my life is the 4-7-8 breathing method developed by Dr. Andrew Weil. Here's how it works. Sit comfortably, exhale completely through your mouth, then inhale quietly through your nose for a count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7. Exhale completely through your mouth, making a whooshing sound for a count of 8. Repeat this cycle 4 times. This technique activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, in less than a minute. Another powerful practice is the body scan technique. Starting with your toes, slowly direct your attention to each part of your body, noticing sensations without judgment. When your mind wanders, and it will, gently bring it back to the part of the body you were focusing on. This 10-minute practice trains your brain to return to the present moment, the fundamental skill for overcoming both anxiety and distraction. Neuroscientists have discovered that regular mindfulness practices literally reshape your brain. After just 8 weeks of daily meditation, the amygdala, the brain's fear center, shrinks, while areas associated with attention and decision-making grow. It's like upgrading your brain's hardware. Flow and deep focus. The concept of flow, described by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, offers another valuable perspective. This state of total immersion in an activity is the opposite of scattered anxiety. To cultivate it, we need challenges that match our skills. Not too easy, boredom, and not too hard, anxiety. Routine is the secret antidote to an anxious and distracted mind. Nietzsche believed that structure sets us free, and modern neuroscience agrees. Well-established routines reduce decision fatigue and conserve mental energy for what truly matters. Create daily rituals that signal to your brain when it's time to focus. The Pomodoro Technique, working intensely for 25 minutes followed by a 5-minute break, works because it respects the brain's natural rhythms of attention. As William James once said, the art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook. Give yourself permission to focus on one thing at a time, fully and completely. Environment and body. Your physical environment has a profound impact on your psychology. A cluttered desk, a phone buzzing with endless notifications. These are constant triggers for your brain's alert system. Create a space that signals safety to your nervous system. As Marie Kondo advises, the real life begins after putting your house in order. The mind-body connection isn't just New Age philosophy, it's solid science. Regular exercise reduces cortisol levels, the stress hormone, by up to 25% and boosts neurotransmitters associated with well-being and focus. Plato's belief in mens sana in corpore sano, a sound mind and a sound body, was absolutely spot on. Remember, regaining control doesn't mean controlling everything. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught us to distinguish between what we can and cannot control. Wisdom lies in directing our energy only toward the former. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're supposed to be figuring it out as you go. And on this journey, every small step matters. 7-day plan to regain control. Day 1, awareness. Dedicate this day to simply observing your patterns of anxiety and distraction. Without judgment, jot down in a notebook when you feel anxious and when you lose focus. This awareness is the first step toward any meaningful change. Day 2, breathing practice. The 4-7-8 breathing technique 3 times throughout the day, when you wake up, during lunch, and before bed. Just 1 minute each time is enough to start training your nervous system. Day 3, environment to spend. 20 minutes reorganizing your workspace. Remove visual distractions, silence notifications, and create a workstation that signals focus to your brain. Day 4, movement. Incorporate 15 minutes of any physical activity you enjoy. It doesn't have to be intense. A walk, some stretching, or even dancing is enough to lower stress levels. Day 5, Pomodoro. Try working in 25-minute blocks with 5-minute breaks. Start with just 2 to 3 cycles and see how your brain responds to this structured rhythm. Day 6, disconnection. Set aside 2 hours free from screens. This information diet allows your brain to process and integrate information, reducing cognitive overload. Day 7, integration. Reflect on what worked best for you and build a personalized plan combining the most effective practices. Remember, consistency beats perfection every time. Leave a like on this video. It really helps the algorithm share this information with more people who might need it. Subscribe to the channel to keep this conversation going about the mind, behavior, and personal growth. And please share in the comments. Which day of the 7-day plan seems most challenging for you? Or share your own story about anxiety and lack of focus. Your experiences are valuable and could inspire others facing similar challenges. Remember, every comment truly matters, but of course, don't feel obligated. Only share if it feels right and if this video has helped you in some way.